Hello, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Sunrise.
Good morning and welcome to Sunrise. I am Alero Edu.
Where did you go for a second?
My 14-year-old friend's daughter said, I have a lot on my mind. I'm going through a lot.
Amaya Wakide, good morning and welcome.
I'm going through a lot.
Yeah, so it's Nigeria.
Well, people are calling for interim national government. The expressway is chock-a-block, and people spend 7 hours in the traffic to get to our studio on a Saturday morning. I mean, there certainly is a lot on my mind.
You are going through a lot. Is that a destination? In what state is that a lot?
Yes. I'm going through a lot. Interim national government? I mean, where did that come from? I'm asking. I mean, I've been asking myself that question since that news broke.
I think in my opinion, Alero, one of the challenges that I think we have is we don't seem to have a sense of history, or we're not perpetuating our history. Many still haven't really understood why we had to fight a civil war.
Oh, you just touched a raw nerve.
So, and there is no, unfortunately, it seems like there is no consensus about the build-up to the Civil War. Then fast forward to 1993 elections. You know, that whole process started in 1989. You know, of, okay, we're going to have election in 1990. We're going to have two parties and all those things. If a generation of politicians were retired by the military, if you've ever been in politics, you can't be in politics again and all those things. All of that happened in that republic. And then the election of 1993.
Well, I'm just pinching myself and saying, hope that doesn't happen again.
Oh, okay. No. Well, it's not the military era now. So so all of that happened, and then 1993, and then we had a stalemate of sorts, about 5 years.
Option A4.
Before, yes.
I remember option A4.
Exactly.
And we all stood on the queue and we were counted.
We were counted. That was the beavers. That was your whole body was your beavers. So, I mean, we had that 5-year interregnum, so to speak, because during the fallout of that June 12 elections, we all know what happened. At least those who have a sense of history know what happened. That's 30 years ago. Many Nigerians today have no idea of all of that, how hard-fought this Fourth Republic is, how much sweat and tears went into it.
Yeah.
And how that some of the people who fought for it, this Fourth Republic, aren't in government in any way, manner, shape, or form right now.
And many of them had to run away and face the fight from abroad.
You know? So calling for, and then of course we know that it was about that same time we had an interim national government.
Yeah.
That was under a military.
After the results of elections had been cancelled.
Yes. So.
But there's no such case here.
No such case here.
So where is this coming from?
The build-up is, if we had a sense of history, we have a sense of common value for nationhood. Whoever muted or threw this kite out knows that there are a good number of Nigerians who don't have that sense of history. A very good number of Nigerians who don't have that, who don't know where we're coming from as a nation. And there is nothing that is telling us, okay, this is where we are, this is how we got here, and this is where we are going. That's why I always talk about vision. Because if you know, for instance, that at the end of a 5-year course, you're going to get a job, and this are the things that you're going to get from the job, you don't want to jeopardize that.
No.
Now, some people know that a sizable number of Nigerians, especially young people, don't have that sense of history, don't know all these things. We don't have a common identity about certain things in our nationhood, in our history as a nation. And so they can take undue advantage of that ignorance of so many people. and fly these kites. And if those things don't happen the way they ought to happen, they expect that it should happen, those who don't know will be taken advantage of and thrown into the streets. The same way happened in the fallout of the 1993, between 93 and 98, when this new Abdulsalami government came into power. So I think that's part of the things that is being taken undue advantage of by some people.
And like we always say, do not allow yourself to be used, because you'll only be used and dumped.
The question is, will the people who are being used know that they are being used? Or will they just be told that you should fight for your rights, while the people goading them on, don't show their faces, and their own children are not nearby? So I'm sorry, but these are some of the things. I wonder where it's all coming from. I wonder why we should even be talking about such things in the first place.
And if DSS is coming out to say that they have identified some people who are involved in this plot, I'm just wondering, so why is it taking them so long to round them up?
A very good question. So DSS, I'm not going to answer that question for you guys.
Generally, the Nigerians they're just outraged by the whole idea.
Well,
where is this coming from? If you know who they are, pick them up. We want to know who they are. Who are those people who want to sabotage this nation?
People don't. We need to value it. We need to value what we have.
And as far as category of crimes go in this land, that is one of the topmost crimes that you can commit in this country. A crime against your country, felony.
And I hope that some people understand that. Because, I saw a video this morning sent by one of our colleagues in the media saying that one fellow was shouting that there must be no inauguration on May 29. He had to be literally... Physically
carried.
Dragged out of an aircraft, shouting and, saying all kinds of things. So, I don't know. My opinion still remains that government needs to find a way to ensure that we communicate with our people. Let people know that, look, we have a common heritage. This common heritage is called Nigeria. We have to value it. We have to hold it sacred. Where we are now didn't just happen. It was fought for by so many people, a good number of which are dead. Many
have died
in
the process.
So today's Nigeria is a product of the sorrow, tears, and blood of many, many people. That's why the national anthem says, the labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. Let those things sink into our hearts. We need one nation. It's ours. It's the only one we have.
And for those who are fanning the embers of war and disunity, we don't want to see a war. War is not just guns being fired at the war front. I was alive during the Nigerian Civil War. I was in Lagos, yes. But we heard of classmates who left Lagos and went away, came back 3 or 4 years later and told us tales of how they had to eat lizards.
Jesus.
Lizards. And how they went without food for days on end. They could not find salt. Every time you heard a sound, you panicked because you thought it was bombing or something. We don't want to go through that again. If you didn't go through it, look for some books about the Civil War or read books about any war anywhere in the world and read it. Then you will know that war makes fathers childrenless, makes children fatherless. All that is going on. It's not just what you see in the war front. All kinds of people become lame. When I went to Germany in 1971, we saw lots of people, one arm, one leg, and it was explained to us that those are the remnants of the Second World War. We don't want that in our land. Please, let us remember, though tongue and tribe may differ, in brotherhood we stand. We are one. We must find a way of making this country that we have patched together. We must find a way to make it work. War is not an option.
I think that message needs to be drummed in stronger into our heads in ways that are very, very, that cannot be forgotten. I just happened around looking at the Rwandan genocide of 1994 again, and what I understood that this is how many years now? About 30 years? Mm-hmm. They haven't recovered.
No, they haven't. I was actually at the War Museum in Kigali.
30 years ago, they haven't recovered. The annulment of 1993 in Nigeria, we have not recovered. The war, the civil war, we have not recovered. We don't want another.
We have not. We don't want
another. And look, whether we like it or not, we're one. Take it or leave it. There are families that they're always fighting, always quarreling and all those things. But guess what? You don't disown your father's name simply because you're not happy with daddy.
Every time we talk about we're one, I remember Onyekachi Adekoya.
Come on. Rotimi Amechi. And there are quite a number all over the place. So we're too integrated to even give thoughts to these matters.
Oh dear.
Let's not allow ourselves to be manipulated in that way.
And just before we go to the menu, the matter of this Lagos-Ibadan Expressway is really riling people. And I heard that in the course of this last week, some people spent 7 hours on that stretch being repaired. That's between Kara, the Long Bridge, and the old toll gate at 7-Up. 7 hours.
Of course, you know that the federal controller appeared on Sunrise Daily in the course of the week. He was talking about the things that they didn't know about, which influenced the delay, fuel shortage, currency shortage, naira no scarcity, and all those things affected them. But that's not the only distractions we have heard from the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing. I remember July 2022, the Minister of Works and Housing also was on PoliticsToday, said that some delays were occasioned by some work being done on the by the Oyo State government in a way that kind of conflicted or crossed with what the federal government was doing with that road. Now, the project that the federal government is doing in this, we talk about the Kara axis, right? But it actually starts from the 7-Up end and all on till the Kara Bridge and beyond. I don't know what to say. I sincerely don't know what to say. The deadlines have been pushed quite a number of times. Yes, the federal government is under pressure to finish all of these, but I want to believe that government also factored in the fact that people live in these axes. There are a couple of my colleagues that I know were not able to make it to work on Thursday.
And a couple of our guests were not able to make it here to appear on our program last Saturday.
So we seems to have eased a little bit as at this morning.
Yes, I noticed this morning.
Let's just hope it stays that way because traffic, and then, of course, you know, with the Ramadan, the Easter is right ahead, and then the end of the Ramadan period, there's also a celebration at that time. All these things are important for us all to factor in. But while the federal government has its job cut out for it, I don't know what appeal we can give to ourselves, sincerely, because at the end of the day, we have a role to play in all of these.
Just be a good driver on the road, be a law-abiding citizen on the road. That's all you can do. Just stay in your lane and make sure you don't cause any accident, because any accident on that road and you're guaranteed to spend 10 hours. And
where are the traffic management officers, both of federal and state governments? Because there are routes along these axes that these buses still stop to pick up and drop passengers. Okay.
Yes, passengers. They still stop and pick passengers. Yes, you were saying.
No, I'm not saying anything.
The traffic managers, they're there, I promise. They're there.
Go ahead to the menu that you want to look at.
Yes. Now, we're going to start today's program by looking at the new constitution amendments. In fact, when I saw one or two of them, I was actually doing a little jig. I said, oh, finally. So we'll look at them in detail. And of course, I will stress the one that I was doing the jig over when we get there.
I can just imagine already. Anyway, the second topic on the menu this morning is about the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints 2023 April General Conference.
Yes, and then we will be looking at lifestyle. And today, guess what we're talking about? We're talking about skin care, the largest organ in the human body. We're going to be looking at that this morning.
And there are so many angles you don't want to miss, trust me. And then we have an Artiste of the Week. Now, this one is different.
They are artists as well.
They are artists as well. Well, of course, unless you didn't see them as such, they are artists as well. So you want to wait for this one, trust me. It's very, very original.
So get whatever catches your fancy, either your cocoa
or your cuckoo. Or cocoa.
Whichever.
Or cocoa.
Cocoa?
Bitter yam.
Cocoyam.
Oh, you call it cocoa?
Yes.
Cocoa in Yoruba.
One word, several meanings. That's the interesting part about Yoruba. So we'll be right back in just a moment, and we'll start the program.
Gaze Baba, a musician, creative entrepreneur, cultural architect, and I create platform for fellow musicians, fellow creatives.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us this first day of April, All Fools' Day. Now let's get the show on the road.
April is full.
Full of what?
Life. Amendments of the Constitution.
That is very important, and that's where our focus is this morning. Even though it didn't happen in April, it happened in March. To be precise, on March the 17th, the president signed 19 bills into law. Significant among the newly enacted legislations are the Fifth Alteration Acts 2023, which made 16 new amendments to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999. This is the fifth amendment to the Constitution since it came into force on the 29th of May, 1999. The amendments touched different sections of the Constitution. The first part made minor changes to the nomenclatures of 7 local government areas in 5 states of the Federation. But as far as I'm concerned, those are minor issues.
Well, they are minor changes, so.
Besides alterations to the nomenclatures of the 7 LGAs, the amendments also touch the nerve of the federal powers under Second Schedule, Part 1 of the 1999 Constitution. This part defines the exclusive legislative list, which outlines 68 powers and responsibilities that the federal government can exercise or discharge without recourse to other federating units. But guess what, people? Our panel is made up of 3 lawyers. 3 learned gentlemen who are going to help us decipher all this morning. One of them is in the studio, one is in our studio in Kano, and another one is joining us from Ogun State via Zoom.
Maybe we should just start from here for a while.
Mr. Jiti Ogunye is here with us in the studio. Good morning, Mr. Ogunye.
Good morning.
Thank you very
Thanks
much for joining us. Mr. Sunusu is not...
No, himself and
Dr. Monday
Obani will join us in the course of time.
Okay.
But, yeah, you wanted to, because I wanted to shoot the first one at Mr. Ogunye. First of all, you know, I usually like to look back when we're talking about any issue, especially such an issue as this. And I try to find out online what the background is to our constitutional amendments. We have had constitutional amendments, and then we have had complete change of the constitutions over time. Which one for you has been more significant?
Well, before independence, flag independence, many call it, Nigerians under colonial rule had the experience of having one constitution after the other, usually named after the governor generals at that time. So we had Mafaxin of 1946, we had Lit-Litin, then we had the Independence Constitution, which was negotiated at the Lancaster Conference in the United Kingdom. So upon independence being granted to us, we had that independent constitution. By 1966, as many historians know, that constitution had been subverted via a military coup of January 15. During military interregnum, usually we had the military suspending and modifying the constitution. They usually come, that's their first act, redefine the ground norm. They call it constitutional suspension and modification. So the provisions relating to the legislature, for example, will be suspended. And that power would then be vested in a military legislative council or imitation called the Supreme Military Council. Or Armed Forces Ruling Council when Babangida was there, or Provisional Ruling Council when Abacha was there. So they suspend and modify certain aspects. The powers of the judiciary will be shackled. The power of judicial review will be subordinated to the supremacy of their decree, and so on and so forth. But in 1979, after the Constitutional Drafting Committee, 50 initially, but 49 because Chief Obafemi Awolowo declined. CDC, there was a Constituent Assembly, which then birthed the 1979 Constitution. And as Nigerians also know, the 1979 Constitution was subverted in 1984, again by the military, who came to power on New Year Eve. And from that moment, they came with Constitution Suspension and Modification Decree, number 1 of 1984. On 27th of August, when Babangida came to power after snatching power from Buhari, he modified that by the Constitution Suspension and Modification Decree, number 17 of 1985, and subsequently modified until Abacha came and also had his own decree, 17 in November of 1993. And then eventually we had the 1999 Constitution, which many have criticized, rightly in my view, that indeed it wasn't a constitution that was made by the Nigerian people. It was a constitution that came into existence via a decree, 34, which then gave it life. And from that moment, we had that constitution. Now, since that time, Nigerians have been saying that that constitution, the current constitution, which has been amended, the 5th Amendment now, lacks legitimacy because it was not made by the people and it was not subject to a referendum by which the people could then buy into it and say, we accept this constitution. So it was a military diktat. And therefore, people started clamoring for a constitutional conference or a sovereign national conference to discuss everything and anything under the Nigerian sun, and then have a new compact, ask our people whether they want to live together, because it's been assumed since amalgamation, and then, define the terms. So when the military just left, a lot of debate, a lot of conferences around that subject. I remember one, Professor Wole Soyinka likened Nigeria to a building, an edifice that was collapsing with the window, being removed, with the roof and everything. And that kind of thing you wouldn't remedy by palliative. You will need to reconstruct it. So people are talking about constitutional reconstruction. But the new political class that emerged claimed the power to amend the constitution, that they will not, some of them even said that they were the sovereign and that they will not allow that kind of thing to happen. In between, opportunistically, the executive branch of government, headed by presidents, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo at the time, President Goodluck Jonathan at another time, had toyed with the idea of constitutional conference. So elaborate, they had one, and people thought that that could be a middle-of-the-road solution to those who are clamoring for a sovereign national conference. But on those two occasions, their recommendations have been rejected. The first one, people said because of the elongation of tenure thing, and so the baby and the bathwater was thrown away. The second one, the president couldn't do it before he left, and our president said he will not touch it. So what we've had, therefore, is this periodic amendment of the Constitution. And so for reformists and gradualists, they say, yes, who believe that gradually we will get there one day. Say that this one, well, we can take it. But for fundamentalists and those who want a makeover, who see this Constitution as an amendment of a Constitution that was written, and that's the point, and embedded with the historical injustices of the past and donated to us, that things will be difficult. I'll give you one example, just one quick example. When Abacha came to power in 1993, the constitution we had then, 1979 constitution, as amended by their decree, preserved the power of state judiciary. State judiciary used to be a court of unlimited jurisdiction, so they could take anything. The Federal High Court was a revenue court for the federal government, so it had limited jurisdiction, admiralty, and all that. But before Abacha came to power, during the June 12th crisis, in your intro, you mentioned that a lot of persons were going to state government to get judgment against the interim national government. The Dolapo Akinsoya of the Lagos State High Court declared the interim government illegal and unconstitutional, and so on and so forth. So when Abacha got there, Abacha felt, what am I going to do to ensure that this power that I cannot control from the center is taken over from the state? He passed Decree 107. That's his decree. And then he expanded, indeed, he blocked the jurisdiction of the Federal High Court. So the State High Court no longer was a court of unlimited jurisdiction, everything. And why did he do that? Once you had a judge at the Federal High Court, it was Justice Begure then, God rest his soul, who was there. And so those were the days Nupeng was going to the Federal High Court to sue, to another. So the point I'm making is that, we've been having these amendments, but the amendments, in fundamental terms, are just scratching the surface. We need to refederalize Nigeria. The military came, unitary in nature, with their command structure. They put all that into the Constitution and centralized power. And so when we came, we then had these 68 items that we've had, that they are now trying to shed by and buy. Some people are not that patient. Some people are saying that we need a quick makeover.
Well,
and that we cannot.
It's very interesting. My apologies. It's very interesting that by the way, Alero, the two other guests are ready, but let me just make this point quick before you bring them in. It's very interesting that, we have this history of this particular constitution. You talked about the CDC of 1975 that worked until about 1978 or thereabouts.
Yes.
Got the draft, which was made of a good number of civilians, right?
That was indeed when we adopted the presidential system of government, the American style, and abandoned the prime minister system of government,
at the time,
which we started with.
But then we also had a sort of CDC for the 1999 Constitution, even though they had a much shorter time. But please don't answer that one yet. I think our other guests are ready.
Okay. I'd like to welcome Mr. Sunusi Musa, a senior advocate of Nigeria, who is joining us from our studio in Nigeria, in Kano. I apologize. Good morning, Mr. Musa.
Good morning.
Yes, Dr. Monday Ubani, Chairman, Section of Public Interest and Development, SPIDEL of the Nigerian Bar Association, is also joining us via Zoom from Ogun State. Good morning, Dr. Ubani.
Yeah, Alero and Ayo, morning. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Dr. Ubani, you heard, I believe, what Mr. Ogunye said about the 1999 Constitution, which he says tells a lie of itself. We, the people of Nigeria, we, the people, did not come together to put that Constitution together, which is the reason why some people are saying all these amendments are not going to work. We need a new Constitution, which we, the people, will sit down and put together. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, once again, thank you for having me. I listened carefully to the analysis of my brother on the journey so far. Well, as a result of the fact that the 1999 Constitution was not
Dr. Bani, can you speak up a bit, please?
Yes, I said as a result of the fact that the 1999 Constitution is not as a result of the mandate of the people, does not have the authority of the people. We have engaged in this periodic patch method of amending our Constitution that does not address some of the fundamental aspect of federalism, which every Nigerian has been clamoring for. You can see what has happened recently with the recent amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the Fifth Alteration. And now the issues addressed are not too fundamental. Allowing states now to generate power was a thing that should have happened long time ago. Allowing states now to be the one to probably run railway line, enter into the railway business is a thing that should have happened a long time ago. But it's better late than never. So there are issues that have to do with physical federalism that everyone is clamoring for. If you remember, the 1960 Constitution allowed the various regions to be in control of every natural resource that was in the environment. And they pay tax to the federal government. And
I can't even hear what you say.
Under 1960 Constitution until the military came and ensured that everything is over-centralized. And we have seen the level of decay and retardation we have suffered as a nation. And that's why Nigerians have been clamoring for a properly run federal structure that we need to restructure the Nigerian Federation to run an efficient and competitive federalism. And over time, the political class have been dashing us this patch method of amendment that is not addressing the fundamentals. So we are where we are today because the Constitution that we're operating presently, as rightly pointed out, does not emanate from the people. And there are many issues we would have addressed if the people have an input into the constitution, which is a ground norm, the fundamental law of the land must have the input of the people. And so this issue of amendment that we have been doing over time that does not address the fundamental will still keep us where we are, retardate a nation that is not making progress, a nation that is not running a competitive federalism, a nation where everyone have to wait for others to come up before you can make progress. We remember in 1960 how the regions were in competition. And we know the level of progress that was made by the Southwest. We know the level of progress that was made by the Eastern region. We know the number of progress that was made by the Northern region. And they were running this economy, even with agricultural produce. Now we are running the economy with oil, and we are not seeing any progress whatsoever because of the over-centralization of the bureaucracy. And we have been asking that let us go back and give ourselves a constitution that emanates from the people, that will address all the aspects of
Okay, all right. Dr. Obani, just 1 second. Just a second, if you can hear me, Dr. Obani. I mean, it's interesting that this same constitution that everyone, just a second, Dr. Obani, this constitution that we're talking about and raising all of these issues about has given us, it's the first time we're having 24 years of unbroken democracy. As broken as, how do we say, as dysfunctional as it is. Let me ask Mr. Musa. So we have been having these alterations, the fifth happening right now, and as we have just identified, as defected as the Constitution could be, we've had 24 straight years of unbroken democracy, the first we have had in our history. Is it any sort of palliative for you that even though it's an imperfect constitution, we have been able to work it ourselves as a people without any military interregnum?
Well, there can never be a perfect constitution, actually, because that is why all the constitutions in the world provides for a way it should be altered or amended. So that alone is an admission that we'll never have a perfect constitution anywhere in the world. However, it is, there must be, because of the human nature, as time goes on, we'll find out that there are things that is not how they ought to be, or because of new innovations or new situation that has arisen, we need to amend here and there. And I think, even though I must confess, I have not been able to hear what Mr. Obani was saying, but I catch some of the things Mr. Jitu was saying. And I think is this issue of saying whether the Constitution is telling lie when it says with the people of Nigeria is still something more a bit theoretical in nature. And, you know, elites, with all respect to all of us, any part of the elite think that if they are not, they have not taken part in the way a particular thing is done, then that that particular thing should be thrown away as not what the Nigerian people have done. What do I mean by that? By all the people that are clamoring that we must come together and give ourselves a new constitution because the other was given to us by the military. How do they want us to do that? I think it's through the process of the circumference of some few select elites that will come together to do it. And that was what happened that time. So some few select elites sat together and give us this constitution. And anyway, if we can use what by the act of the Nigerian people, using the same constitution to elect government from 1999 to today, can we still say that the Nigerian people, the majority, have not accepted this constitution as a constitution given to themselves by Nigeria? By our own act, I want to believe, it is my own opinion, that we have ratified this constitution, even if some people think that the constitution was not given to, some few select military that has given up that constitution, because by accepting it, by bringing government, successive government under it from time to time, by rejecting the third term, so many other things. We have ratified that act as our own act. So I think we should move away from, with all respect to them, from that argument of whether this constitution is ours or not. Of course it is ours, and there will never be a perfect constitution. But as we move on, we will see that we'll be able to be amended so many things. But in my own opinion, even as it is quite a bulky constitution, a constitution that contains so many things that ought not to be there. That's the issue of the local government. I don't, personally, in a federal system, I don't see any reason why we should have 3 tiers of government in the constitution. We should have the federal and the federating units. How people want to run their local government, it should be left to respective federating units to determine how they want to do that.
Mr. Musa, is that in any way...
going the whole
just 1 second, if you can hear me. Mr. Musa, just a second, if you can hear me. Is that a way of saying that, of legitimizing, if I can use that word, what the governors have been doing over time? I mean, not paying adequate or due recourse to the local governments over time?
That's what I'm trying to say. What we are having in the Constitution is not what is even being followed. And I don't know, my little knowledge of a federal constitution, we don't have federal constitution that goes to determine how the respective units are going to run their own local government. So what I'm saying, if Kano wants to have the traditional rulers and the people to run the local government, let them decide that. So also, if Akwa Ibom wants whatever they want as the way they run their local government, let it be determined. But it is not the business of the federal constitution to now come and determine how each federated unit is to, implement issues that are purely that affect it locally. So for me, if I will have my way, it's for us to delete the local government entirely from the constitution. Let's have 2 tiers of government. Because does it make any sense for me that people of Kunti have to go around the country for them to for people that never know where Kunti is situated in Kano State, for them to get approval if they want to change the name of their local government? I mean, it makes no sense to me, actually. These are issues that we should be left to the state. And there are so many things in the Constitution that need not to be there. Like even this issue of qualification for the appointment of the Secretary of the NGC. These are issues that ought not to be in the Constitution.
But another challenge, Mr. Musa, I think I'll bring that to you, Mr. Okunye, is how we begin to actualize or activate or action these amendments. The one that really excites Alero is has to do with the electricity generation, transmission. I don't know, the details of that one. See, she's laughing already. And that's one. So how do we, there has to be some transition, isn't it, of how we move from what we had to what we have. Don't forget that in activating the PIA, the transition mechanisms have been rather difficult for some of these, for some people, for some institutions. PPPRA, for instance, hasn't existed since the PIA became law. But transiting into the new system has been one of the worries for those who are in that sector. Do you see that happening in this case?
It may happen. A constitution is a grown-up, it's a fundamental law, and so it may be shorn of details. Many good legislations, Act of Parliament, have transitional provisions to cater to concerns that you're raising now because of difficulty in implementing the new provision or the new law that's just been made. But this is not the case here because the Constitution does not have that kind of transitional provisions and all that. And so we expect that there may be difficulty. For example, in electricity, we had a transition that was not successful. If you ask me, because the federal government is taking over all those organizations that are not fit for purpose. They took money from the banks, these schools, things like that. They can't deliver, and so we have problems on that score. So there could be problems along the way. But let me say quickly that, in 1999, 2000, the Lagos State government came with Enron and wanted to generate electricity. But the requirement then was that every power that was generated will have to be fed into the national grid, which I also call the national grid, on there. Yes, grid is grid, because we didn't know what was happening. And so that became a fiasco. It didn't happen, Enron packed up, there was a lot of problems and so on and so forth. 24 or 23 years thereafter, we are now being told that states can generate their own electricity and transmit it, even where there is that national grid. Meaning that it's possible, for states, a number of states, for example, southwest states, northwest states, to come together and then generate power and do that. Because it's really, really localized. Those are the distortions I was talking about earlier. That over time, centralization of power, that we are now calling devolution, decentralization. I call it the need to refederalize, because Nigeria started as a federal state. Resources are generated from the regions, and portion of it donated to the federal government. Now, by the time the 1999 Constitution came, based on what the military had done over the years, they've taken over all the resources in the land. They will now generate and then give the states. That is not how, and that's what some people call, resource control and all that. I agree with the Leonard Silk and Kano, Sunusi Musa, Leonard Brother, that local government has no place in the Constitution. Unfortunately, people do not know better, or do not know where we're coming from, are also singing the song of local government autonomy. Local government autonomy. What do you mean by that? A federation is a two-tier state. The units coming together to form a whole. So when you now have a situation whereby you have 3 tiers of government, what you are running is a unitary state. From the center will now be distributing money not to the state now, but also, not to the state alone, also to the local government and all that. So those are the distortions, and that's why, for example, for almost 20 years now, the Lagos State government created local government, at least for the past 18 years, created local government, and the federal government kicked. They seized their money, and the matter went to the court. At the Supreme Court, it was ruled that, yes, you have the right to create your local government, but they are inchoate because they've not been written to the Constitution. Those local governments have not been written to the Constitution, and that's why they were called SCDA. They've been spending money, they've been existing, they've been having elected officers and all that. Those are the things. If you want to create 50, to create it, if the people in the state want it, insofar as it will no longer be receptacles for accessing money from the center, which is why some people have said now, for example, that old Kano had a number of local government. Lagos State, from so many years, stood at 20 local government, and it's still 20. That old Kano has now become Kano and Jigawa, and they have about 77, and they draw money from the center. Oh, this is unfair. You have no business with that under a federal constitution, really, and all that. And so I agree with him that local government shouldn't be part of what we're going to have here. But let me say this. My understanding of what is going on is that, the Yoruba have a saying that there's a particular bird called Adon, bat, that if you want to make a sacrifice with a tabaradon, you want to make a sacrifice with a particular bird and you can't find it, you use an alternative, right? But there's another one
where the available will be.
Yes, when the desirable is not available, the available then becomes the acceptable.
The acceptable.
Yes, it becomes the acceptable. It will not be desirable, becomes the acceptable. And so what I think that we should just note for the benefit of this discussion is very important, is that these amendments are important. Railway, the state can now do that within their domain. Electricity, they can do now.
Yeah.
Prison, the states can do that and all that. So if you go elsewhere, other federal democracies, United States, you have county jail, you know, state bostal houses, state prisons, federal prisons, so that if you commit federal offenses, you go to federal facility. If you commit state offenses, you go to, and so on and so forth. But that's not enough. Yes, if a government can manage its prison as it should manage it, you know, why can't the government manage its police force?
Allow me just very briefly, Mr. Ogunye, to take you back to the issue of local government that you mentioned in agreement with Mr. Musa. During the Third Republic, even during the First Republic, I remember that the so-called sanitation officers in the First Republic were from the local government systems, weren't they?
Exactly.
And they were very, very efficient.
Exactly.
I also remember that during the Third Republic, there was such healthy competition among the local governments in Lagos, to my experience. There was Apapa local government at the time, and then there was Lagos Island local government that had a business of its own. Yeah. That Lagos Island Gold Service bus,
yes,
that other local governments now began to compete with. So, if they look, and of course we know that at the time...
At the time in Ikeja, one man, Okiki Okposhu, there was Okiki Express and all, it's late now, I guess.
So all those, they were very, those were very, very, they literally brought development closer to the people, as some would say. There are those who also opine that active local government systems at the time were the first line of defense that we had against insecurity, and that at the collapse of those structures, that's where we began to have the crazy security challenges that we began to have. And you still think, I mean, and they weren't, even though they were within the states' governments, as Nigeria is, the states are within the federal, you know, confines of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Why shouldn't we have local governments?
No. I'm not saying we shouldn't have local government.
Okay.
The argument is that local government should not be
in the
federal concern.
Yeah.
You know, it was the military that designed this. In 1976, there's a so-called local government reforms, headed by, at a point, by the former committee, by the former Sultan of Sokoto, Laji Dasuki, who is late now, God rest his soul. And the military started thinking about what they had to do. And they started creating local government, and they started, you know, and all that. Whereas that was not part of the deal. So, by 1979, they started writing local government into the Constitution, and 1999, it came to... So what we say is that this is a distortion. This is a distortion. And so that distortion was consecrated. Local government started receiving money now from the center. State government started receiving money from the... So every month, they go to Abuja with their beggar bowls, and then federal government will put money there and all that. That shouldn't be. We should go back to the era of state generating resources and making contribution to run the federal government. But, you know...
So how will the local government systems be funded?
It will be funded within the state. It will be funded within the state because
this
the state
who refuses to give them money at this stage, where there's in the Constitution, will now give them money when they're not even in the Constitution?
Let's not reduce this thing to the issue of money and all that. You know, the political class have a way of bringing up brinkmanship and all that. The money that people talk about, local government money and all that, bring it, let local government autonomy and all. At the end of the day, that money won't have any impact on the ordinary people. I don't want Nigerians to join that game. I'm saying that on a matter of principle, on the issue of local government, that should be a state affair. It should be a residual matter to the state. The federal government shouldn't have anything to do with it.
So the state should be the ones legislating.
They will have a law, local government law for every state. There's still a local government law of every state because the Constitution says that they shall guarantee the existence of local government through a law. There's a local government law.
For each state.
For each state. Okay? And so there will be a local government law for each state. Politicians even can't do without local government because they know that Those are the grassroots and all that. And within each state, it should be possible to make advocacy and to do things right and say, this is how this local government will be funded.
Okay. Well, there are countless issues.
Mr. Bani, Dr. Bani, rather. Sorry. Dr. Bani, if you agree that the local government should not be in the Constitution at all, how is it, therefore, that our legislators are rather looking at changing the names of some local governments as opposed to looking at the whole idea of taking the local government out of the Constitution and making it strictly a state affair? Dr. Bani, are you there? No.
I am. Are you hearing me? Are you
Yes,
hearing
we
me?
can hear you now, yes.
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yes. I've listened carefully to the argument of my two learned colleagues on the issue of putting the local government in the Constitution. My own response to the argument is that presently we have a Constitution that recognizes local government in the states and also made provision for monthly allocation to those various local governments. I remember from 1999, I have a local government. I come from a local government known as Ikwa local government area in Abia State. And I knew the chairman then was my former boss. While in Kano, I served under his chamber, Mr. Kesi Obaja. Now, under Ojus Okano, they were allowing the federal government allocation monthly to get to the local government chairman. And they were using it to develop all the basic infrastructures at the local government level. I remember the market in my area was done by the local government. And I also remember they were giving transformers to the various villages in my area. And they were working perfectly well until the governors discovered that they can tamper with the local government money and started to now appropriate the money that were meant for local government. And as I speak to you today, the local government all over the country, the governors have been interfering with their funding that come from the federal government every month. And that is why there is no development today in Nigeria. Because at the local government level, that is the first start, for you to actually, reach the people at the grassroots. If you go to UK today, we have council flats. In fact, almost everything is being done by the council. Virtually everything is being done. The development you see in all the developed nations are done at the local government level. So what we have presently is a constitutional provision recognizing local government and also funding local government. You cannot fund the local government and then say the federal government should not have any say as to what happened at the local government level, especially in this area of creation. That is what my colleagues are propounding. I think that should be. But what is now presently is that the Constitution recognizes local government. How have we fared in terms of allowing the local government to operate? The governors have been interfering since 1999 to date. And that is why today there is no security in Nigeria. Because if you want to secure Nigeria, you start securing your own local government. If I secure mine, you secure your own. Every place in Nigeria will be safe. If I am able to put some basic infrastructures at the local government level, everyone is a local government member. Everyone belongs to local government. The president of Nigeria today belongs to local government. You belong to local government, Alero. Ayo belongs to local government. So if your local government chairman starts to do all those basic things that is assigned to them by the Constitution, from the funding that comes from the federal government, you can find out that Nigeria will be developed. But because governors have been interfering with this process and now begin to sell the idea, oh, it is the state that's supposed to create, it is the state that's supposed to manage, it is the state that's supposed to do this. And that's why people are buying into that argument. And you and I know that tomorrow, if you allow the local government to be under the state, in terms of funding, they will not in any way allow them to have those funds that they require in order to do those basic things that the Constitution has assigned to them. So I totally a bit disagree that what we are propounding is what's supposed to be. But what is now is that the Constitution recognizes local government, both in terms of, the state have a right to create it, but we fund it. And when we fund it, allow that money that we fund to go to the local government.
Oh dear. Well, unfortunately, even now, the Constitution Review Committee was unable to get the concurrence of states on that one. And I know that Mr. Musa, you may want to weigh in on that in your response, but let's talk about the ones that have been done something about, that the states have agreed and the president has signed into law 16 of those bills. Which one of them do you see being rather challenging? But allow me to take you up on one specific that I don't understand it, and I don't know what that bill means. It's the one, the fifth alteration number 9, the one that seeks to alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to delete the reference to the provisions of the Criminal Code, Penal Code, Criminal Procedure Act, Criminal Procedure Code, or Evidence Act, and for related matters. Now, those who are wondering exactly what that means.
Honestly, me too, I don't understand that one. I don't want to comment on this because I have not seen the act actually. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm pretty sure. Maybe I'll bring that to Mr. Ogunye. But
Mr. G2 Ogunye, maybe he has access to the bills.
okay, well, I'll bring it to him, but I don't want you to go without, I don't want to leave you here without commenting on a number of things. We talked about the problematic nature of implementing some of these provisions. Which one of them do you see being a little challenging? We've been talking about, for instance, Mr. Ogunye has talked about electricity, the challenge of transiting from federal electricity system to state-based electricity system. Another one, which we have all been struggling with since the rejig, is the correctional services as opposed to prisons. Which of these provisions, 16 of them, do you see a little problematic in the transition from what we had to what we now have, according to the alterations?
How do we now transit from what we have in existence? Because we have the national grid, and I know the government has been spending more money to establish the national grid. Now, with what we have on the ground, the state complaining about paucity of funds, I doubt if the state government would be ready to now start establishing what we may call state grid, because it is going to be a very quite cost intensive. So I don't know how they are going to do that. Or is it that we continue with the same system whereby when they generate, like now in Kano, I know about 10 megawatts is about to come into being. And I know that the policy of the state government is now that some part of it is directly going to the water board, part of it going to electrify the streets. So going to create a demarcation between what the national grid and the state grid, and also the capital intensive nature of the investment in that nature will end up just giving you something with the right time, taking it to the left time. Then on the issue of the prison, or rather the correctional services, like my brother Mr. GT said, we want to have a situation whereby we have the federal prisons, we have the state prisons. Now, I doubt if the state will be ready now to start investing in having state prisons, because the implication is that either the federal government will look at the possibility of handing over some of the prisons to states, like now in Kano, maybe the satellite prisons, and now that the federal government has done a new prison outside Kano, then maybe the one that is close to the India's palace, maybe they will hand it over to the state. Now, another thing that will come in, you realize that most of the offenses that take people to prison are offenses that are within the confines of the state. So if we now come to a situation where the federal government say only people that are being suspect of committing federal offenses that are going to be housed in the federal prison services, then we end up that having the federal prison buildings without inmates in them. Then the state government will now have to start finding money how to now house all the suspects and the convicts that are also being convicted for state offenses, because it is the state high court that have unlimited jurisdiction, and also the state houses of assembly that have unlimited power to criminalize so many things that are not stated either in the exclusive or in the concurrent legislative list. These are things that I will see given problem. But as now, the act that constitutional amendment that seeks to exclude intervening even from from taking into cognizance of the 21 days in either or 14 days in pre-election and post-election matters. I don't know how they are going to be used because the acts are yet not available. The lawyers that are engaged in pre- and post-election litigation would like to have a look at them to see how they'll suit their problem. Because we are going back to what happened in 2019, where so many people filed action outside the 14 days created by the fourth alteration. At that time, many of the lawyers were not aware of those provisions, that fourth alteration that said that any pre-election matter must be filed within 14 days from the days that it is filed. Now, my fear is we may have some cases that may likely be struck out or dismissed, like, you know, what happened in, I think, 2011, when the Labour vice presidential candidate, actually, he lost his Senate seat to Senator McCarthy because the 60 days within which the Court of Appeal was to give judgment fall within the time there was national industrial action that was being supervised by NLC as a result of the fuel increase in price at that time. That was how the 60 days elapsed, and he had to leave the National Assembly chamber without having a judgment either in his favor or against him, because the Court of Appeal said that it was factors of issue. It's outside the limited time within which it will give that judgment. So I see this being challenging currently, and at in the short term. While at the long term, I see the issue of the electricity and that of the prison also going to be very challenging on how they are going to be carried out.
Well, you know, just on that same one, since you've veered into politics, let me just ask you, because Mr. Ogunye referenced it as well, and that is the cooperation that should happen among the states within regions. Mr. Ogunye was thinking, look, maybe we should begin to talk about, okay, let's have a Southwest come together, Southwestern states come together and do something for their region, and Northwest come together and do something for their region in terms of electricity and all of that. But then it's not all the states within these regions that belong to the same political party. Do you see that, you know, creating a problem?
Yes, it may create, because most of the politicians refuse to be statesmen after the election. Once election is over, we should leave politics outside governance, because governance is about the people. It's about what is the best interest of the people. So irrespective of whether you are of the same party or not, there are common things that we should all agree that this is for the common good of the people, and all of us should support it. But a situation whereby we engage in politics and everything 24/7 from one election to another, there is no time for governance, we may end up having problems. I mean, most of the problem we have today that we are saying we should go and amend the Constitution is because the politicians refuse to be statesmen. You know, why will you go and say that you must have a constitutional amendment for the legislature to have finance run its affairs? Why must you have a constitutional amendment for the judiciary to have finances to carry out its duties? I mean, these are things that should be given. Once somebody is elected a governor or a member of the State House of Assembly, it is assumed that he should be above board in some things. You then need a constitutional provision to tell you that you must provide funds for the judiciary to work. You must provide funds for the legislature to work, even in a situation whereby you disagree with some of their decisions. But we have a situation whereby everything we have turned to say, let's amend the Constitution. And at the end of the day, because the people are not ready to work based on the constitutional dictates or the principle of why we have a Constitution, then it ends up being just an amendment in the paper without it being amended. Because even if we make provision in the Constitution about all those things, if the operators of the Constitution are not ready to operate them, what do we have? we end up just going round in the same place. That is why, for me, I've never agreed with those that are saying we should remove immunity from the Constitution. For me, the principle of having the immunity in the Constitution is for you to allow the governors and the president to concentrate in doing their work. And if you have any situation where you think that they should face the law, that is why the Constitution provides that the state houses of assembly or National Assembly should impeach the president or the governor, vice president, or the deputy governor. And if the state houses of assembly or the National Assembly refuse to do that, the same Constitution gives Nigerian people power to recall those members of the National Assembly. So we have all the checks and balances there. But everybody don't want to do it. We just want the letters of the law to come and do wonders for us. And I wonder how will that happen. So the attitude of the Nigerian people about the law, the attitude of the politicians and what is the best interest of the country, or the attitude of the elites, even those that I know in politics, about what is for the best interest of the country, is what will come together and make the country better. Of course, there are things that some of the region will come together, or sub-region, even though they are not creation of the Constitution. They should have a kind of saying that let's come together and do this. But then that also will create another problem, because I wonder where will they derive the power to do that? Because to the best of my understanding of the Constitution, the state houses of assembly does not have power. They don't have power to legislate beyond their own state. So how will they come now and do a law that will govern such arrangement of having some agencies that will say they are interstate? These are issues that we don't have, the constitutional framework to do that. And this is why some of us are of the opinion that the Constitution is too bulky. It should have just provided the principle, so that this kind of things, if the state wants to do it, will just go and see that whether it is something that they have been given long latitude. But now when they started, we will now be having argument whether it is constitutional or not constitutional. So there are so many things, but like I said, we will never have a perfect constitution. As we move on, we are learning. When we see the need to create something new, we'll be able to create it for the good of the country.
Let us, I would like to concretize what you said earlier about regions coming together and doing things together by using alteration number 16 as an example, which is the one that will move the item railways from the exclusive legislative list to the concurrent list. So we want to build a railway now from Lagos to where? Ado-Ekiti. And we have to pass through states which belong to different political parties, which are ruled by different political parties. Right. How are we going to achieve a thing as concrete as that?
In many of the regions called zones in the country, there are kind of some form of collaboration, regardless of political party affiliation. We've had that in the Southwest, the Northwest, the Northeast, practically in all parts of the country. And I think that that can serve us well as a model for collaboration, so that the benefits of these amendments and reforms can indeed be utilized. For example, we already know the rail lines that the federal government is building, and this is not passing or snaking through all the cities or state capitals, within a zone. The states in the zone can take that as a development agenda and then say, look, we want our people to be more integrated. We want our people to be able to use railways and all that. And indeed use that to also checkmate the security challenges we have on our ways with kidnappers and all that. We've had an incident with the railways anyway, in Abuja, in Kaduna, we know that. But that's not as problematic and as often as we have on the roads with armed robbers and so on and so forth. So this can be done. You recall that not too long ago, when the Southwest decided to have an Amotekun and all that. There were a lot of fury around that. How could you do that and all that? And what they did was to pass simultaneous legislations within their states, concurring legislations to be able to do that. And so from boundary to boundary, from state to state, they can do this. It's being creative. It's being knowledgeable about these things. It's stretching constitutional permissiveness to the limit and ensure that, you get the benefits of it. But I would say that the reforms, and that was the point I was making earlier. Yes, we want an ideal constitution, we want a federal constitution, but some of the reforms are important. And that's why I will agree with my learned friend, Lion from Kano, Mr. Musa. When he was speaking, I was just wondering, how am I going to couch it? You amend the constitution, but have you amended the hearts and dispositions of actors and politicians? For example, two things. Look, one of the amendments, it will strike you, is to cure the mischief of governors or president being elected. And for months, they won't form a cabinet. It happened in Osun State. It happened in many states. So, in other words, a democratically elected governor who has been constrained by constitutional provision that he should form a cabinet will then become a sole administrator of his state or a monarch. Okay? So, you then have that constitutional provisions saying that within 60 days you must form your cabinet. Do we need to have that provision? So the constitution is already verbose. It's already too big. Students of constitutionalism would even have difficulty in digesting all these things. Because they come and then it has become a kind of turbine. You just say, okay, well, where do we go now? What's the constitution say at this point? So the second amendment, I'm not true on that. The second amendment is on the issue of how to constitute a legislative house. In Edo State, we had the aberration of a governor inviting people to come to the State House. And in the night, he claimed to have inaugurated them. And he said that he wasn't going to do that twice, that he had done the proclamation. And so we had an aberration of legislators elected, about 14 or 16 of them, not being able to represent their constituency for about 4 years. And the Attorney General of the Federation is there. All the other people are there, and they say that we won't tolerate this kind of aberration in this country. Nigeria is a constitutional democracy. Now, there's a constitutional provision detailing how this should be done. So, are you going to amend the hearts of actors and politicians? So, in other words, you can have parchments. You can have provisions.
Now that the bills have been passed, the people can actually scream that you are doing the wrong thing.
The wrong thing, which is the beauty
power they didn't have before.
Which is the beauty of what I'm saying. So the reforms, they are important, they are significant. I won't sit down here to say that they are not significant and all that, but one would have wished that they had come earlier. One would have wished that if you had an administration that had to spend 8 years, and it had as a campaign promise, constitutional reforms and all that, evolution of power, things like that. This ought to have come very early, not at the tail end. But perhaps some people say better late than never.
We must start packing up now. Dr. Bani, are you there? Dr. Bani?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes,
I'm here.
Please. We have to we have to wind down now, not start wind. We have to wind down. We only have about a minute to go. So I'd like your parting shot on this in just 30 seconds, if you can help.
Well, as you rightly pointed out, this government made a promise of restructuring Nigeria. Well, at the twilight of the administration, they now have gone ahead to amend some of those basic things that we require to run a proper federal system. What I want the governors to do at the very regional level to do is to really make use of this amendment and integrate their economy and run a cooperative government, irrespective of political differences. The interest of the people should be uppermost in their mind. let them integrate and run an efficient administration that will be beneficial to the people. You see, the issue of competitive federalism is what made Nigeria to be the fastest growing economy in the 60s. We can replicate that again under the new dispensation, if only all the politicians shall come together, irrespective of their differences, and know that what is uppermost in their mind should be the interest of the people. And when the interest of the people is uppermost, I can assure you that we can make use of this patch, method we are using in running our federalism to be very proper and efficient to the benefit of the people. That would be my party. I really appreciate what has happened so far with this smaller amendment, but we can do it in a more comprehensive manner. If the people themselves can participate in giving ourselves the people's constitution, that again, we solve most of this retardation the country has undergone over the years.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Musa?
Yes?
Your parting shots, please. We have to go now.
For me, this is the beauty of democracy. Like Mr. Obani said, we continue to get there as, or rather GT, we continue to get there as we progress from one stage to another. The constitutional amendments are quite commendable, and people should continue to explore ways how we can be able to achieve some of those things. But very importantly is the fact that the Nigerian people must be active in the political space, in the type of people we elect in the state houses of assembly and the legislature, because that is the only way. When you have people that knows how important is the constitution, why they need to have a say in how they are governed, that will be getting towards having a desirable constitution. But a situation whereby you have people in the state houses of assembly that you are coming with a legislation to give them legislative autonomy or financial autonomy, but because the governor don't like it, they are rejecting it, then you know that there is much to be desired on the type of people we elect as our leaders. So the participation of the elites, the knowledgeable people in the political process, is what will take us to the promised land. When we allow people that are misfits to be elected and we continue to come here to talk, believe me, we will not get anywhere. I pray that Nigeria will continue to prosper, we'll continue to improve in our governance, and we'll continue to have a responsible people that will come and engage in the governance process and the political process.
Amen to that. Mr. Oguye.
I wish Nigeria well. I wish you well. I wish I you well.
Mr. G.T. Oguye, who's a legal practitioner who was with us in our studio in Lagos. And we had Mr. Sunusi Musa, a senior advocate of Nigeria, who joined us from our studio in Kano, and Dr. Monde Ubani, chairman, Sector of Public Interest and Development, SPIDEL, of the Nigeria Bar Association, who joined us from Ogun State via Zoom. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming to share your insights with us this morning. Sunrise will return in just a moment. Do stay with us.
Where is Glory?
Excuse me, ma'am. Are they here?
No, don't go village. Tell all our customers.
Everybody pay attention. See, now Globe dedicated 10x. Now they dash me 10 times the credits when I load. Or even summer me double data join.
Yeah. Wait, so with 1.5 when they give all of us, so you they enjoy up to
15,000 naira credit and data.
And I say I never finish you. See, you say we enjoy if I join Globe dedicated 10x. When I will get 1,000 naira welcome credit. You just carry your phone, dial *777#. Finish.
Gulo, you don't win. You don't do.
Una still dey here. Hello. Now Globe they fine. Now Globe they go.
Enjoy 10 times the value of your recharge on Globe Berekete 10X. You also get 1,000 naira for calls and data, and double data bonus on your subscription.
Every healthy family needs the right amount of energy to start their day, but sourcing for breakfast with a splendid blend of nutritious multigrains, big wahala. With the new Kellogg's Gold Grain cereal, you don't have to go through all of that. So now, your mornings can look like this.
Go, 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 Gold Grains. Love the goodness of its multigrains.
Grain sets go!
With protein and creamy tasty Kellogg's Gold Grains.
Grain set go!
With vitamins and minerals in Kellogg's Gold Grains.
Grain set go!
Grains is a breakfast cereal fortified with vitamins and minerals from the goodness of multigrains like maize, guinea corn, rice, and soya. Kellogg's Go Grains.
Grain Sets Go!
Also available in banana flavor.
Breakfast time is Kellogg's time.
I worship you. You are here, meeting every need.
Well, as you can see, that the sunrise behind me is different from when we started. It's because we're going into a larger panel than what we had before. Because during March and April, much of the Christian world turns to Christ as we prepare for and celebrate Easter. So to join this conversation, enhance understanding of the Savior's sacrifice and resurrection, and help God's children feel His love, primary church members at this time will focus on the Savior and all that is possible because of Him. It's the 193rd Annual General Conference. That's the April 2023 worship experience of Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints this weekend. It provides an opportunity to see what is possible because of Him, and by Him I mean Jesus. By tuning into General Conference, by tuning into this General Conference, which provides unique guidance and personal growth in the lives of everyone. Let's have this conversation this morning with President O. Idowu, who is the President, Abeokuta Stake. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Elder Okechukwu I. Imo from the Nigeria Ibadan Mission. Thank you so much. Yes, I've been a little disrespectful. We have a lady who should have come first, Sister Amuche Richard Igwe, AOA Port Harcourt Coordinating Council. Thank you for joining us this morning.
You're welcome.
So I'm going to ask you first. This is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints holding a conference twice a year. For those who are hearing this for the first time about this general conference from time to time, what's the general overview? What's it about?
Well, the General Conference is a worldwide broadcast that takes place twice a year, the first weekend in April and another first weekend in October. And at this conference, church leaders from around the world come and they give messages and sermons of hope. They talk about Jesus Christ, the love He brings. They bring messages of peace and immense healing. So, you know, it's exciting that this period is the Easter period, and Easter is all about Jesus Christ and His atonement and resurrection. So at this conference, we would invite all to come listen to these messages that these church leaders would talk about. We'll talk about the atonement of Jesus Christ, His resurrection, and the love He gives, the peace that comes to us as individuals and as families collectively. And we will equally be privileged to listen to these messages from the beautiful music that will be rendered by the choir too. So apart from listening to church leaders, the choir too would render these beautiful messages of Jesus Christ via music.
Very interesting. I want to assume that you want to add to that.
Yes, General Conference is always a time that we look forward to hearing from our leaders as they speak to issues affecting our lives as followers of the Savior Jesus Christ, and how we can more fully commit ourselves to doing the things Jesus Christ taught us to do, so we can have a better society and in ourselves change and pattern our lives towards the examples and the attributes that Jesus Christ has taught us.
Okay. Let me ask you, Elder, what's different about this April conference?
It's a special time for members of the church. And
this particular, I'm talking about April 2023.
Okay. The church holds conferences twice in a year, general conferences twice in a year. They are all similar conferences, just that they held every 6 months. So in this special April conference, interestingly, it is coinciding to Easter. It's going to be a time where we think about Him, where the whole world is yearning to hear Him. And because it's close to Easter, it's an opportunity for every one of us worldwide as we hope for a refuge in this world of trouble, we can find peace in him. And it kind of helps us remember this sacrifice that Jesus paid for us. And it's reassuring. The messages that we're going to hear in conference reassure us that there is still hope in the world that is faced with a lot of challenges and difficulties.
Sister Amuche, these conferences have been holding for for decades. How would you assess its impact on the lives of those who have been part of it?
Well, I'd like to draw inference from my life, having been part of this conference, been part of these conferences. You know, the teachings and principles that have been taught on these conferences have helped me as an individual to find peace and happiness. And it has even helped to mold my family alongside. You know, I could draw inference to the April General Conference of the year 2021, when one of the apostles spoke about the atonement and resurrection of Jesus Christ. And in that conference, I learned that the major meaning of the atonement is the glorious opportunity that avails us as children of God to repent of our sins and have hope to be forgiven when we repent. And as I instill or imbibe these principles in my life and that of my family, I see beauty, there's peace, there's this serenity in our homes. And I'm sure so many members that have been privileged to be part of this conference, to listen and to try to emulate these teachings that have been taught, would equally testify that their lives have been molded better. We tend to have a better behavior, as in we behave more like Christ-like. Equally, I equally learned that the resurrection is another glorious opportunity, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. It avails us the opportunity to learn to be more focused on him. And then we learn to be, the resurrection helps us to have hope for our future, for our eternal life. You know, Jesus Christ is the center of our teaching and our being. And as he has commanded that we should all come unto him and learn of him. And as I learn of him and strive to imbibe these teachings in my life and that of my family, we tend to feel more happy, more peaceful, and have an inclination to looking up to having an eternal life in Jesus Christ.
Is that why you're sounding so peaceful and quiet this morning?
It's a general numb.
Okay, President, where can one view or listen or be part of this conference of April? Well, first of all, when is it? April what?
Okay, the General Conference comes up on the 1st of April and
today.
2nd of April.
That's today.
Today. 1st of April today and 2nd of April, which is Palm Sunday. And so the inference that Imo made to how special this conference is because it coincides with the period the world over celebrates Easter. Easter is principally about the Savior Jesus Christ. So on channels, television, anyone who log on to channels television on channel 420 can view and participate in this conference. On GoTV on channel 48 can also participate. And for viewers who would like to go online, the africawest.churchofjesuschrist.org is a site they can log on to, or rather, the churchofjesuschrist.org is another site they can also log on to. The conference's messages will be streamed live on this channel as well as YouTube. So there are very many options that are available to be able to access the General Conference.
Elder Imo, what should we expect at this year's conference?
Thank you so much. You know, we live in a world where there's a lot of challenges, there's a lot of trouble and anxiety and seek for direction. The conference provides us opportunity to listen to the voice of God, his prophets, that can teach us, help us learn how to hear him. It seems the greatest problem in mortality today is the inability of mankind, men and women, to really understand their purpose of life. We tend to come to earth and live, drink, sleep, and die without really actualizing the purpose of life. So this conference gives us opportunity to come and learn about him so that we can understand why we are on earth, the very purpose of life, that it is for us to prepare to return back to the presence of God. So we're expecting to hear words from our prophets and apostles that will teach us how to follow the Savior Jesus Christ so that we can become like him.
Is there a theme to this conference this year, this particular April conference?
So we are focusing on hearing the Savior, how we can be able to learn of the Savior and hear the Savior. Our conferences are always focused on the Savior Jesus Christ.
Okay. Madam, I'm wondering, is there any, I mean, we've talked about the things to expect during the conference and all, but what sections of Nigeria's population would you be appealing to right now that you think will significantly benefit from attending this conference?
Thank you. I wouldn't want to narrow it to a particular segment of the population, but rather the entire populace is invited to join in and participate in this general conference. Both the children, the youth, and the adults alongside are invited to join this conference because the teachings are glorious. They're enormous. It will help mold our lives to become better children of our Heavenly Father. Remember, each and every one of us is a son and daughter of God, and as such, we matter to him. Our lives have meaning and purpose, and he will love us all to come unto him, hear of him, learn of him, and because of him, we might have hope in our being, maybe to mold our lives to become better humans, to become a little bit more kinder, to be more patient, more helpful and resourceful to ourselves and to our family and the nation at large. So I will use the opportunity to invite everyone in the Nigerian sector.
Mr. President, are there, I mean, you've told us the days of broadcast. Are there special times that people need to bookmark?
Okay, for today, being the 1st of April, when the conference starts proper, all are invited to listen to these messages that will come from the lips of leaders of the church across the world, beginning from 5 p.m. Nigerian time to 7 p.m. today. The broadcast of these messages will continue tomorrow, Sunday, from 11 a.m. in the morning to 1 p.m. in the afternoon. And then it would also be a special privilege to enjoy music and the spoken word from the choir, beginning at 4:30 in the afternoon to 5 p.m. And then the final session, which will be broadcast to all the world, will come between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. tomorrow.
Okay, you already gave us the platforms, but you want to repeat the platforms so that people can access this?
Okay, the platforms, everyone invited to log on to channels 420 and on GoTV, channels 48.
Channels 420, that's on DSTV?
On DSTV.
Okay.
So on GoTV, channels 48. And for Those who would like to participate through the internet, they can log on to africawest.churchofjesuschrist.org or churchofjesuschrist.org or comeuntohim.org. So these are channels that will be made available.
Okay, so the details are on the screen already. Is there any pre-registration necessary, Elder Imo?
No, there is no registration. We're inviting the whole world, irrespective of your religion affiliation, to come and learn about the Savior Jesus Christ. It's an opportunity for us to find peace and solutions to the problems that we have on earth today. You don't need any formal registration, and everybody is invited.
Okay. Well, Madam, your final appeal, if I can use that term, to especially young people now, because we are a largely young population in Nigeria. The average age is about 18, 19, thereabout. So what would be your appeal to them, and how will this benefit them specifically?
The General Conference.
Yes.
Well, to the youths, would use the word single adults, I would appeal to them to rather invite them to join in the General Conference and participate, because I can assure them that there they would learn, they would hear messages that would help improve their lives. One key one will be they would hear messages that would help them to think about themselves. They will need to do some self-evaluation and ask themselves, who am I? Now, if an individual can identify whom he or she is, that goes a long way to help propel the individual to live a better life. So the message is supposed to come learn of Jesus Christ. Remember, the theme is, because of him, because of Jesus Christ, we can do all things.
Yeah. I mean, now you know all the things that you need to do and all the platforms. So stick with us here on Channels Television from 5 p.m. today for more of that. We have to thank you very much for being here, Sister Amuche Richard Igwe, AOA Port Harcourt Coordinating Council. Thank you so much for your time. Elder Okechukwu Imo of Nigeria Ibadan Mission. Thank you.
Actually, it's Ibadan Coordinating Council.
Beg your pardon?
Ibadan Coordinating Council.
Ibadan Coordinating Council. Okay, thank you. As well as President Samuel Idowu, President Abeokuta State. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Sunrise returns in a moment with more. Please stay with us.
Daddy, so you insist on doing what you want to do. Ṣé ọ̀rọ̀ tinú ẹ ló máa ṣe lọ láṣìwà?
Daddy, mo ń lọ. Daddy, I'm going to the city.
You children of nowadays, you are too much in a hurry. Be patient. Be patient.
Daddy, I've heard what you have to say, but I have to do what is in my heart. Daddy, mo ń lọ.
Let me tell you, Daddy,
sir,
you are on your own.
Woke up one Sunday morning, told my daddy I'm leaving home. Going off to the city tomorrow, even though I don't know where to go. Daddy says, son, don't be a fool, 'cause life in the city is unbelievable. You could get broken, no, you're just a little boy, and you may never find your way. And I said, I know I could get lost. I know I could get broken. Forgive me, Father, but I gotta take a chance. I'm already gone, so just pray for me. For me, pray I find my way. Gori by me, share. Oh, forgive me, Father, but I gotta take a chance. Oh, I'm already gone, so true what she said to me. The life in the city is unbelievable. Had to struggle just to get by every day, and I could barely find my way. Ṣùgbọ́n mo mọ̀ pé mo lè ṣìnà. Mo rí pé ayé lè ṣòro. Forgive me, Father, but I gotta take a chance. Oh, I'm already gone, so just pray for me. Gbàdúrà fún mi. Kò rí bá mi ṣe. Forgive me, Father, but I gotta take a chance. Oh, I'm already gone, so just pray for me. Pray for me.
Thank you for staying with us this All Fools Day 2023. It said the social engineering attacks. If I saw that, I would actually sit down and try to wrap my head around the meaning.
Possibly get a dictionary.
But in simple terms, it is called cyber attack now. Like you sit down in your house and then your phone suddenly goes, pricky, pricky. You haven't made any transfer, but somehow money is jumping out of your account.
At least now we know your own notification tone when money goes out.
Madam, I think this boy is a cyber engineer.
Yes. Yes.
A social engineer.
Yes.
He knows how to do these things so that when he hears that tone,
you said it yourself. Why didn't you say ding dong?
Anyway, this is a cybersecurity awareness program, and it's being organized by the Committee of Social Information Security Officers of Nigerian Financial Institutions, who are represented here this morning by Mrs. Wumi Faiga. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
It's very big grammar you started with, social engineering attacks. Why not just cybersecurity?
Okay, so there are different types of...
okay. Get your pen and paper.
Okay, there's different types of cyber attacks.
Okay.
But today we want to talk about social engineering. It's the specific type that leverages human interaction, that interaction that we have with each other. So social engineering is exploiting that interaction, that default trust and expectations that we have of each other. So social engineering is when the threat actors, the bad guys, try to leverage that need for interaction and use it in a bad way to trick people to make mistakes and expose sensitive information.
Give us an example.
Okay, so you get a phone call and the person on the other side claims to be from the bank.
Claims to be you.
Claims to be you. To be a customer service representative from the bank. And that, they've just seen a transaction or they've just noticed something on your account and they want specific details. So once they start to ask for specific details, then you can be alarmed that this can be real. So that is one of the common forms of social engineering. Sometimes you get an email telling you input your password. Sometimes you get a text message telling you if you send a credit alert to this account or to this a recharge card number to this number, that you will win a gift. So those are different forms of social engineering. Leveraging our curiosity, leveraging a need, leveraging that fear that, oh, something will happen to my money in my bank, trying to create anxiety.
So when that happens, when those bad guys, as you call them, make those moves, how is the victim, so to speak, vulnerable?
Okay. Now, they leverage lack of awareness. Now, if the customer is aware that this cannot be from my bank, then the customer is more prepared. So we've seen situations where the call will come in and say, give me the number at the back of your ATM card. And then the response is 419, because the person is already aware that this is a trick. This is social engineering. Another thing is for the person or the victim not to put too much information on their social media. Sometimes they actually do research. When they have targets, they sometimes do research to see what information can we find about this person. So they start naming familiar people that you know sometimes. So we also need to be very wary of that as well.
Okay. Now, you've begun to give us hints at this, but before I even ask that question, how will the victim know? What are the things that the person who is victim, what are the things that the person will hear or perceive that will make the person know? As you said, it could come in different shapes. How would that fellow know?
Okay.
Especially when this attacker, as you call it, is saying the right things.
Yes.
Knows my wife, knows my daughter, and all those things.
First, if it's too good, if it sounds too good to be true, then
Probably
chances are it is too good to be true. So be wary if they are promising gifts. If you click, you'll win something. If you follow this link, especially if you've not entered a lottery, for instance, if you do this, you will get this. So they try to make false promises and entice their victims, right? That's one. If they start asking for personal information, what's your name, aren't you a customer of so bank? Then you already know they are fishing for information, right? So you need to be wary. If it is
sometimes they call and say, I'm calling from your bank.
And they don't say which bank.
Which bank?
And
your bank now?
Yes. So they are fishing for information.
Which of my banks? I have several.
Yes. So
and then they hang up.
Yes, because that's an aware customer.
I just said my piggy bank.
No, one actually called and said, we noticed some strange action on your account. We need you to give us some information so that we can stop it. I said, please let the strange action continue. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Yes, that's the right thing to do. And when they probe that way, the best thing is for you to report to your bank or go to the nearest branch. Because banks have customer call centers, the numbers, or you go physically to the bank. As much as possible, not to give out all this information they're asking for.
Now, you already said earlier that, they get the information through their own research.
Yes.
What are the things that people have put out now that they should withdraw from the cyberspace if it is possible for them to do that?
Well, once it's online, basically it's there forever, really. So I think that the first thing is to be careful the things we post. For instance, a lot of security questions, your date of birth, your mother's maiden name, those sort of sensitive information we shouldn't put online, right? And if it is there, if we can remove it, we should aim to remove. For the other, for people that want to dispose documents, if you want to dispose forms, old account statement, old cards, we should make sure that these things are shredded and destroyed, because sometimes the method they use is what is called dumpster diving, where they go into trash to see what sensitive information may be there. So if you filled out some forms, it's better to shred it before disposing it.
How about phone numbers?
Phone numbers are really out there. So in terms of phone numbers, there is not much we can do. Your phone number is out there. You have a friend somewhere that has your number. Chances are your phone number is somewhere online. The key thing is, if or when you get that call, don't divulge information that you shouldn't. That's the key thing.
What are the most common methods of social engineering?
Okay. The most common is the phishing. Now, there are different ways. You could social engineering can be online, and it can also be in person.
Oh, really?
Yes, it can be in person. But the most common one is the phishing. The phishing is where you get an email, typically when you get an email telling you to do something. Okay. Click this link. If you don't click this link, something like this will happen. Your account will be disabled. It creates that sense of anxiety and urgency that you know it's not real. The other common types is what we call vishing, which is voice phishing. That's the call, the phone we've been talking about, the calls you get. That's another very common type. The other type that is also common is what is called smishing. That is where you get
Vishing
and smishing. Smishing. So SMS phishing, voice phishing. Then the classic phishing is via email, right? So the SMS phishing is where you get a text message telling you send a credit recharge card to this number, or call this number to get so amount, or if you call this, you'll win this number. That's SMS phishing. That's smishing. That's what's called smishing. Those are the common methods.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, allow me to go back to the phone number thing. There are, of course, a number of people have more than one phone number.
Yes.
The details that people bank with the most are phone numbers and email addresses.
Yeah.
There are those who are looking for all the clout and everything in the world, and they put their phone numbers, I call it the transaction phone number, on your Twitter handle or Instagram, and then your email address, the same one you use for your bank account, you put it on those. Do you advise that people change those ones, or just retain them and just put up more security?
If you have the opportunity to have two numbers, it's advised to have the one you use for your bank transactions, if it's possible. It may not be possible for everyone. So if you can separate the numbers, that will be beneficial, right? Because you know that if this call comes in, it's strictly from your bank. If a message comes in or an alert comes in, it's from your bank. Then the one that is public, you know that, okay, if a call is coming in from your bank on that public number, then you know that it's most likely a phishing attempt, right?
Yeah, okay.
But I think the fundamental thing is, whether it's a private or publicly known number, the most fundamental part of it is for you to be aware that this can happen and for you to be vigilant if it is happening.
Madam, how about those who believe that some of these attacks happen in collaboration with NIBS and some bank staff?
Well, I do not think that is 100% accurate. In terms of protecting the industry, it's a collaborative effort with all stakeholders. For instance, CBN has put out regulations that all members of the banking industry, financial houses, the fintechs, the payment service providers, the payment ecosystem, everyone is required to comply with all of these regulations. And CBN is very, very diligent in auditing several times a year, including even NIBS, right? And the banks. So it's a collaborative effort. Now, knowing that this is social engineering, even when the banks, CBN has put all the regulations in place, the banks have invested so much money to put in all sorts of technologies in place to detect, in terms of the banking applications, the mobile applications, there are all sorts of technologies in place. You're supposed to have your two-factor. That's what the second factor. A PIN you should keep private and secret to yourself, right? So when all of this has been put in place, it's a collaborative effort between the stakeholders and the customers. Now, it's now up to us playing our part. As a customer, we shouldn't share information. We shouldn't trust that person and say, okay, take my ATM card and withdraw money for me. Now, if that has to happen, then you need to make sure that you need to change the PIN of that ATM card. So it's a collaborative effort between everyone to keep us secure.
How easily can your committee effect arrest of a cyber criminal? Has any been done?
This happens, yes. The committee is a committee of CISOs of all the banks, deposit money banks, the merchant banks, fintechs, payment service providers, right? Now, the committee in itself doesn't carry out the arrest.
Okay.
However, the individual institutions collaborate and work together. So when there is any, such cases,
we'll get law enforcement
involved.
Okay.
We work with law enforcement.
Has any criminals?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Quite a few. I'm sure you see in the news.
Okay. Quickly, we have about 2 minutes.
Okay.
So, there are, you CISOs, as you say, believe that there is a 4-step sequence to social engineering attacks.
Yes.
You want to take us through them so people will know?
Okay. So the first the first step is the malicious actor, threat actor as we call them, or the
bad guy.
The bad guy, yes, the bad guy, would carry out research. They carry out research. So that's why I was talking about being careful about the amount of information we divulge online. So they use that to research. Then the second part is interaction. They now try to make a connection. So they can send messages online to try to connect on Facebook or to try to connect on LinkedIn or whichever other social media.
Instagram.
Right, Instagram as well. Snapchat, Twitter, and all of that. Then after that interaction, they try to build trust, right? So that interaction, you start to relax and get comfortable. At the same time, they're still doing research to see and find out additional information. Now, after all of that has been done, then they do what is called the exploitation. They start to exploit that relationship to see how they can manipulate. Then the final stage is where they carry out the execution, where they carry out these actions. So those are the stages, but I think the key thing is at every stage we need to be aware and we need to be vigilant.
Not when you don't have cash, you have money, you don't have cash, and somebody wants to take your money. When you are not, because you're not able to get the cash, I can't even begin it. We have to thank you very much for all the work that you've done so far, you and your Committee of Chief Information Security Officers of Nigerian Financial Institutions. Thank you so much, Mrs. Homi Faiga, CISO Sterling Bank. Thank you. Truly appreciate your time here today.
Glad to be here.
Well, now you know. Do yourself a favor and protect what you have. We're back after now.
Anybody who won't fight you, let them come, they already know. I'll be right beside you, like the wall of Jericho. They don't know, they don't know, they don't know what's going on. Monagiso, my baby boo. I'll be a soldier for you. I'm getting better in Kung Fu. You should know I got it. and you don't need to guide me to. I'll be right beside you in anything that you do. If you ever need saving, I will be running to you, running to you. I'll be running to you, running to you. Anywhere that you go to, running to you. I'll be running to you, running to you. Anywhere that you go to.
When I'm looking for trouble, it's cause I know that I got you. Wanting more best everybody, oh oh. And it's because of your comfort. And anytime that I'm out of control, you hold me down. You never let go. Yeah, my baby boo. See all the battles you'll be fighting, and I'll be right there with you. I may be small, but I'm mighty, and I go running for you. And anybody ways I be, yeah, don't be you, pull it, I be around. And if I ever need saving, I'll be running to you.
Running to you. I'll be running to you, running to you. Anywhere that you go to, running to you. I'll be running to you, running to you.
You go there for me.
Anywhere that you go to. You don't need to worry, anything you want.
Surround to surround, love me no go round down.
Hey, anytime you call me, baby, I go answer.
Any other brother, baby, you make them run down.
And if you want me coming to you, I go come to you.
Oh, you wanna see me, baby, don't choose me.
Tell me what you want, baby, say I'm not in my body.
I don't know why you are
My
laughing.
partner is checking out his skin.
Yeah, skincare.
The thing is, having beautiful, supple, fresh skin.
Once you begin to describe it like that, that's a woman's skin you are describing.
No, even men can have good skin.
Yes.
But the thing is that good skin doesn't just come about. A lot of work goes into it.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Out of the 37 trillion cells, right?
When it comes to your skincare, your lifestyle has a lot to do with it. You know, all these things we talk about on this lifestyle segment, they all seem to be intertwined.
They don't seem to be.
They are.
They are.
Okay. Equal comes and says that your ball of pounded yam should not be more than one tennis ball, and then you must add plenty of vegetables to it.
And there is hardly any guest that has come on this program and has not talked about food. Your hair, food. Your skin, food. Your blood, food. Exercise, food.
So Equal didn't
Your
say
eyes,
at that time
food.
that the vegetable part of it is actually contributing to giving you nice, supple, skin opening.
You see?
Ole.
Female skin. Not this one that would have gone to exercise and...
This is skin man. I don't know about that. Okay, so what makes beautiful skin? After all, the skin is the largest organ of the body. So it also needs care and nurture and all that. But what do I know? Dr. Cynthia ABA is a consultant physician, dermatologist, and fellow of the West African College of Physicians with specialist training in clinical dermatology, aesthetic dermatology, and dermatological surgery.
Good morning.
Only you.
It's good to be
Only
here.
you. Always. Dr. ABA.
Thank you.
Only you. Welcome.
Thank you for having me here. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
You know, she's talked about the skin being the largest organ in the body. And I noticed that there are federal governments, parts of the skin, there are local government parts of the skin. There are state government part of the skin. Because why are you laughing?
Please, which one is the federal government?
I don't know. She will tell us. Oh. Because the quality of skin on my face is not the same, Abi, on my arm, right?
You're right.
And the one under my foot,
yes,
they are different.
Yes, they're harder.
So it's very different.
Which one is the local government?
She will tell us.
So I would say, I would just go expatiate a bit further and say that besides the skin being the largest organ, which we know, it's also the most conspicuous part of the body. So why it's very important and crucial also to take care of the skin is that most of the time when you have skin, internal diseases of the other parts of the system, not everyone might know. But you know, the skin being conspicuous, everyone is asking, oh, what's wrong with your skin? What happened to you here? And what happened, you know, is something that everyone notices, okay? So in taking care of the skin, basically, it's not just pertaining to just the females. Even the men is very important as well. What are the things? Our lifestyle choices, like you said, also the daily things we do to our skin, daily skincare practices. So in saying lifestyle, okay, what we drink, water. We know that water is good for life. Water is very good. We need to drink enough water to keep our skin properly hydrated, properly moisturized as well, okay? In terms of diets, a lot of fruits and vegetables, carrots, broccoli, you know, they're very good for the skin.
Thank you for that one.
Don't be saying broccoli. We don't have broccoli in Nigeria. So our one that we have here.
Okay, the vegetables.
Whatever
we have
ugu. Whether it's ugu, fruit, you know, they are expensive. Let's come down to Nigeria.
Next thing, you'll be
carrots are not expensive.
Oh, really?
No, carrots are not expensive.
Really?
No.
It's okay. Now you can hear.
So also, what we find a lot as dermatologists, not everyone knows about. I mean, there's so much misinformation outside. For some people, taking care of the skin, you know, they use all sorts of harsh chemicals. Some people use medicated soaps, antiseptic soaps for daily having their bath. But what these soaps actually do is that the skin has this acidic mantle that, prevents bacteria and all sorts of infection. These soaps are usually too harsh for the skin.
Slow down, please. Please. Let me prepare myself
I got
properly.
you there.
No. To protect yourself, you buy antiseptic soap and medicated soap. To protect yourself. Now you are saying...
It's not necessary.
It is not. It is not. Because your skin, the pH, the acidic mantle already prevents you from having infection.
So why do we have
bacteria.
it in the market?
So that is why I'm here today. We
would
keep educating, you know. So normally, a lot of people go using the harsh medicated soaps, antiseptic soap, disrupting the acidic mantle, which is meant to be protective to the skin. Also, extremes of water, bath water, very hot water, that will strip the skin off the natural oils, you know. Another thing that you find is moisturizing. We keep on emphasizing on that. Sometimes you go out, you see some people, ashy skin, you know, you must keep feeding the skin. You must moisturize the skin. One of the things that is also very helpful is moisturizing when the skin is a bit wet. So we have this 3 to 5 minute rule. When you get out of the shower, just pat a bit and then leave some water on your skin. You moisturize so that the water locks in. So you're locking in moisture, kind of. So that's why it's better.
Cold will catch person.
No.
I have noticed that many people are going back to the land, so to speak. Many more people are using Oshedudu, black soap, and many more are using shea butter, Ori. Are those of any benefit to the skin?
Yes. Shea butter is very good for the skin. Keeps the skin well hydrated. It keeps the skin well hydrated, you know. Oshedudu in its natural form, yes. I have no problems with using Oshedudu and shea butter. Why? Because for the Oshedudu that you find in the packs, you know, the ones that are sold in supermarkets, there's been some kind of control check on those items, as opposed to the homemade ingredients. I mean, in that way, the homemade ingredients, homemade black soaps, are we sure that the right proportion of ingredients are put in these soaps? Have they had any quality control checks, as opposed to the ones in the supermarkets? I'm okay with that. We use shea butter a lot in dermatology as well, just that it must be made right.
Okay, madam, you just talked about soaps now in terms for skincare and all. What are the things people should look out for when they're buying soaps with which to bathe and the ones with which to wash their hands? There are those who cannot afford to buy one soap for the face, one soap for the hand, one soap for the body, and all of that. What should people be looking out for?
Okay, so in terms of looking out for, I would say first, like I said earlier, when you go to the supermarket, you can avoid soaps that have medicated soaps. Those ones will dry out the skin. So simple toilet soaps, I don't really want to go into names, but things that have aloe vera. A lot of times for those with sensitive skin, they do well with bland soaps without the scents. So fragrance-free soaps for those with sensitive skin. Otherwise, aloe vera is good. You can look for things like that in your soap, okay? Coconut oil. Some of them put some shea butter in it, but where you go on the shelves and you see things like lightening soap, toning soap, clarifying soap, you need to be careful.
Clarifying soap?
Yes.
What's the
clarifying? They come in all, so whitening soap, brightening soap.
Brightening.
So I'm not particularly going to call names, but
no, don't call names,
yes,
but
so,
clarifying soap.
Yes.
Is it Beavers?
So you have soaps like that on the shelves, you know.
Other than soaps, I mean, you've talked about fruits and vegetables and all of that, and you've also talked about you've spaded moisturizers. What other things can people use?
Okay, is it for their skin?
Yeah, the skincare.
Okay, so for clear skin, they can also, in terms of the moisturizers too, we must be careful. So when we say clear skin, some people have coined a name. Some of them call it glowing lotions, lightening lotions, okay? So for
toning
lotion.
It's not bleaching, it's
yes,
toning.
so bleaching, they use it interchangeably, but they all mean to the general population, it means basically the same thing. I mean, to the general population, we know that is for toning, bleaching. So we say,
ouch.
Yes. So for those creams particularly, what would tell them to do? A lot of them, even for the kids, they get the triple action creams as well. They're the triple action creams, which they mix with their body cream. Also, there's the new organic rave. And they say that, oh, we are using organic products. A lot of those organic products are mixed with steroids. So I think that...
Mixed with what?
Steroids. Some of them.
So they get high just by rubbing cream?
Ouch. Yes, so by rubbing that. So we need to be careful when we hear organic. I think it's the right of everyone to know, okay, what ingredients are there? Have there been any quality control? There are so many of them being sold. Social media, shops, you know, so those are the things that we should also look out for when we're buying lotions. So you want the lotions to be as bland as possible. Like I said, vitamin A, look for those of them that have coconut oil, use of those that have shea butter, you know, you see them lanolin, parabens. So those ingredients are still okay.
How good are baby lotions and creams for adults?
So for adults, baby lotions and creams, some people use them. They're mild, especially if you have sensitive skin. There are a number of brands that are okay, but they're suitable usually for children and not for adults. But adults can still use it. It's mild, especially the mild ones. Most of them are mild anyway. So
how will you know if you have sensitive skin?
Okay. So if you have sensitive skin
at
first,
you will know.
Okay.
Because I have.
So usually a lot of people with sensitive skin, some of them have dry skin as well. Besides having dry skin, they react to almost, a lot of ingredients, especially those creams or scents, perfumes. So things that have alcohol in them. They can also react to soaps that have alcohol, scented soaps So you know if you have sensitive skin. Dryness, sometimes they are itchy, especially when they use things that are too harsh for them.
Are there peculiarities for those who have dark skin or light skin or bright skin and all of that? Are there peculiarities?
Not really.
Okay.
For light skin, dark skin, is it in terms of skin care now?
Yeah.
No, I
Or
think
sensitivity.
So yes, sensitivity, yes. Of course, those people who have sensitive skin, it's not one stone doesn't fit all. So for those ones, they need to, we always say that to consult the dermatologist, of course, to tailor a skincare product for them. For them, most of the time we use, as opposed to using lotions, a lot of time, lotions don't really do too well for them. They use more of emollients, creams, the thicker ones, you know. And also, a lot of them might do with some oil in their bath water to keep their skin more moisturized. And in terms of, we just try to warn them as well that when the weather is getting like the Harmattan weather, get prepared. They could put a drop of oil in their bath water, make sure they moisturize at least twice a day for some of them, you know. And usually things with scents and all that tend to irritate their skin a lot more. So
what part does sleep play in this?
So I would say that sleep plays a very important role as well. At least it's recommended that about 7 to 9 hours of sleep.
9?
Yes, it's very, very good. I mean, it gives a glowing skin. So besides that, even exercise too. I mean, about 3 times a week, if you can, 30 minutes, it's very important as well.
Why are you looking like you're suspecting me?
So guilty conscience?
No, she's looking at me one kind.
Because you are feeling guilty. There's something you're not doing.
So sleep is very important. So it's a holistic approach, as opposed to just saying skincare. Your day-to-day time, what you do every day, your lifestyle and all of that.
Okay, madam. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Some time ago, there was a campaign, I think it was by NAFDAC, that women should stop using bleaching creams with a particular chemical, hydroquinone. Does that suggest that other bleaching creams that do not contain hydroquinone are good for the skin?
So the ingredients we look for, that doesn't mean that. Why it was really, that was really emphasized. Of course, we know that hydroquinone, especially in high percentages, it predisposes a lot of people to, you know, damages the skin, predisposes to skin cancers as well. So I would say, I would just give you a little insight. We have a protective, the melanin is meant to protect the skin. Back in the days, we used to see more of skin cancers in the Caucasians, the white people. But now we tend to see a few skin cancers here in black. And why is this? A lot of people, even with using these creams, you know, it's sold people have access to hydroquinone and all of that. Also, one very important aspect, which a lot of people do, is the use of sunscreen. It is very important. So I would say that everybody ideally should use a sunscreen between SPF 30 to 50. It's very important. So hydroquinone.
Black people should be using sunscreen?
Yes. That is why I said before, black people, white people, everybody should be using sunscreen. Okay. So in terms of what NAFDAC said about skin, the hydroquinone, hydroquinone is actually predisposes to skin cancers, like I said. And then the other agents as well.
Does it mean that it's okay to use other bleaching creams that
No, it's not. All of that. It was just emphasized that hydroquinone though, but other bleaching creams as well. So
bleaching cream is a no-no.
Bleaching cream is certainly a no-no.
Allow me to stoke a fire. Tattoos. They don't come on the teeth. They come on the skin. How advisable are they in whatever dosage in the human body or on the human skin?
So I would say that tattoos, I won't say completely no-no, Some people...
But you wouldn't recommend
But
them.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Why?
Because, for example, if you were to say dyes, what they do, they they use dyes for tattoos, and it could cause some reaction. So some people might have an allergic reaction to those dyes. But can you really say who would have an allergic reaction or not? You can't really tell. So for me, I would not recommend it. Though I know some people have it done for cosmetic reasons, for aesthetic reasons and all of that, but I would not recommend it
But
because
they're
of the
permanent.
dyes. Sorry?
Or is there a way they can be removed?
Yes, they can be removed gradually with laser.
Laser?
Yes.
It's painful to
That's
put on.
complicated.
Nah, it's
But-
painful to put off again. Anyway, you said something the other time about every human being using sunscreens.
Yes.
But fair people, I'm very particular about those, different classes of people with different classes of skin. Any peculiarities for them in that regard?
Everybody, even the fair people and the dark people. Because especially at times like, we're exposed almost every day to ultraviolet rays. Part of the things ultraviolet rays does, it causes photoaging. It makes people look older than they are. Also, it could predispose to skin cancers. Other things it does, it causes some areas of your skin to look darker than the rest. So what the sunscreen does actually is to help protect us from these rays, and it is very important. I think everybody should have a sunscreen in their bags.
How vulnerable are people? I know we have just about a minute. How vulnerable are we as a people, Black Africans, Nigerians in particular, to skin conditions that are unfavorable?
So
skin cancer.
So is it skin cancers or general skin conditions?
ETC.
So we are vulnerable. So this depends on what practices or what path we choose to. Lifestyles. Okay. So like we said earlier, in terms of soaps, choose rightly. In terms of the water, in terms of the creams, what you drink, what you eat. Because part of the very important things to emphasize on is that these creams and soaps, in you not choosing the right ones, they can actually disrupt the normal acid mantle, which is meant to be protective, to prevent bacteria and all of that from getting into the skin. So by the time, individuals use all sorts of soaps, all sorts of creams, they're not properly guided. They predispose the skin to all sorts of infections.
I think the next conversation we're going to have, the next time we have you here, if you will allow yourself to come again, is to talk about these conditions.
Yes.
So that at least people will know what to do about them and how they caused it, if they did. Because there are those who believe Michael Jackson, for instance, didn't cause his own. It came naturally, although, it did. And a number of people might have the same conditions. For now, we have to thank you for being here. She's
consultant physician, dermatologist, fellow of the West Africa College of Physicians with specialist training in clinical dermatology, aesthetic dermatology, and dermatological surgery. Dr. Cynthia.
Thank you.
Only one person.
It's all dermatology.
But
different kinds of dermatology.
I like that aesthetic. Maybe we'll come back to it.
Thank you very much for having me.
That is
Okay.
Thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you.
See you next time.
All right.
In the meantime, we'll be right back with the home stretch in just a moment.
Put your lighters up if you know say you go represent. Wow, okay, you get the evidence. Too much of color onto intelligence. Social media no be real life, but come back. Shall you see we dey verify, verified. Shall you see we dey verified, verified. Shall you see we dey verified, verified. Shall you see we dey verified, confirmed.
Well, whether or not our guest is verified, you will find out shortly. Our guest is a trained broadcaster, life coach, NLP practitioner, traditional MC, and compare, among other things. Please welcome Fisayo Alabi. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning,
Even this smile safe.
She's so tickled. I'm wondering why.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mom. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
I am very well. Thank you. I'm so delighted to be here.
Okay, I've heard of Masters of Ceremony. I've heard of compares. Which one is traditional MC again?
Okay, so compare, MC, host. They are both in the family of hosting an event. So traditional MC, now we are getting indigenous.
Okay.
That's indigenous host. That has to do with our language. So now you are hosting, but more of a specific, more of in a specific language.
So in other words, your Yoruba is conk.
You want to sample.
It's conk. So more, so because you're going to permit me this morning on this show, so we are going indigenous, and then you're asking me indigenous question, and then what we talk about.
You don't know how to say
it. Yes. There's some words in Yoruba language. To go see. Oh my! Did I just?
There's no equivalent in English.
There's no equivalent in English language, so it's just in Yoruba language, and that's, for instance, Orogodogon.
What?
Yes, Orogodogon.
Orogodogon.
Akpadi, Iledi.
Iledi.
Well, yes, that's sorry.
Agbari Ojuku.
Àwọn àgbàlagbà ojú gbogbo èèyàn really ṣe kí ni o Yorùbá ní lọ́sọ̀bọ̀ ọkàn fi ṣe àkàwé nǹkan tí nǹkan yẹn jọ ni ṣe ti yẹn gbágbárí ẹ̀ẹ́dá iná pè é ní o ẹ wá níbi sáà lọ́wọ́ ojú gbogbo so ó wà deeper eléyìí tí àtọ́jú pé a fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ nípa MC compare, and then we are beginning now into Yoruba language, indigenous.
What? There are those who are wondering, where did it come from? I mean, it's peculiar, right?
Yes.
And then, for instance, the question Alera asked you earlier was, which one is Alagaduro, which one is Alagajoko? If you go for any event, for God's sake, it's one MC. Patapata, the co-MC.
Any formal event, formal English event, not Yoruba Dunasha, not Yoruba. It's the one thing, Yoruba, especially in Patibeyao. So it's going to be the totality of the Yoruba
Ijoko
content.
And Iduro.
Yoruba act. Even in wedding-wise, we have the richest wedding celebration. Please permit me. Yoruba has it. So that's where. So it was normally it was just okay. I feel I'm so sorry. I'm gonna be speaking of your language here today. You know, like the way they used to do it in the past, like in the villages. I mean, those ancient times, and then they go with the bride at night. When carry with her friends, who go with her, they'll carry things. So, but on getting there, someone needs to say something apart from when.
Oh, the alaga goes with them again when they take the wife away.
That was when no. When they take the wife to how it started.
To the husband.
So initially, gone at those days, it used to be, she'll go with her friends, and they'll go from one or two of members of the family, a junior sibling in the family. But over time, apart from the parents must have met somehow before the main day.
The parents of the informal kind of introduction.
Yes. So now the formal one, someone must say something. And then along the line, so someone that comes up to say, okay, we are from and then, so person's family. It's just an instance. Okay. I'm just trying to give an example. Okay, okay.
Oh, Lord. Can the Alaga Iduro also act for the other side as the Ijoko?
If they don't make their preparations or they don't get someone for them, so they can do to. So you also you introduce the family. You understand? So you introduce the family and at the same time you speak for them. So it's not left to the Alaga. Whoever is speaking for the family, don't forget the purpose, the function of the Alaga is to help communicate. That, okay, we have an intention towards your daughter. Okay, with the male family, we have an intention towards marrying your daughter. Or find the flower in your family. And then, do you understand? So we want to marry her. Yeah, they call us flowers. Yes. And then, so they want to pluck it. Yes, I would like, thank you, Ma. And so they help them communicate their intentions. And then they'll help them hype their family. Oh, we have a social place in Ijebu. We want to come to Obomo Show to marry this beautiful, Then you help them karamo it, Karamo. Like just them, yes. Like they have to project the family. Like the Alaga, supposed to help them project the family, hype them, help them hype their daughter, hype that. So do you understand why you want someone to feel good with yourselves so they can let you have their daughter? You know what? It's a kind of an act of seduction. Like in the act of seduction, Alaga, Karamoma, just communicate things.
And I also noticed that, we're talking about this now, and it's one of those. Okay, let me ask you straight away before I go to that question. Is it an art or is just culture?
Okay, so it's culture.
Okay.
At the start, and it is still culture.
But it's become an art.
Yes, but there is an act to it.
Because not everybody can be an Alaga.
So there is an act to it. Where you're using your appearance to make people feel good. People want to see beautiful things. People want to look at beautiful things. From the Alaga herself, from the way the Alaga projects itself, and how the Alaga makes the groom's family accept the groom's family, to make them like, oh, your daughter is married. It's an act of making people feel good with yourself. It's an act of the Alaga using herself or himself, because men do it now too.
Really?
Oh yes. It's an act of making people feel good with yourself, and then, you spice up the event, now you see the Alaga dancing at the event, like some 2-3 minutes, and the drummers, the families, some people want to come and say their orikis, and then, of course, most of the Alagas, we know about people's oriki, you're looking from so place, so just hype people and make them feel good with yourself, and then have a beautiful event.
Now, tell me, in introducing you, he said you were a broadcaster before. How did you get into this other business?
Okay, now this is it. I think it's something that, as a child, I had always those years when I come for Tokorunko, used to host a birthday parties every month at NTH and 7. So my father was a photographer in his life. I'm going to rest his soul. So I usually go there for my birthday. So I love screen. Yeah. So after which I used to host an urban musical show on screen. My father made me read a lot of newspapers, Guardian, Vanguard, Concord. My father made me read a whole lot because that I love TV. And I didn't understand that I still in the same media, I still the same media, so he made me do that. So I don't think I'm an entertainer. I was not a broadcaster. I am still a broadcaster. I'm trained. I went to National Broadcasting Academy. I'm trained. Mm-hmm. So it's still an act of entertainment, hosting event. So this is more of screen, TV. So being an Alaga is hosting live. So it is still, you're still doing the same thing. So like the way you look nicely, you look beautiful.
Did you study Yoruba in school?
Okay, no. But my father, he has a very big Yoruba Bible, and he has a Yoruba and English Bible. So when he has a lot of sweets going on, and some kind of meat in the place, and then you read Bible in Yoruba, and then you read it in English. So everybody understands. You understand the Yoruba, and then, it's your English, we know my ear. So I'm more, but just somehow I just understood, I just found out that I understand things better in Yoruba language. Mama, I find it too much before me, but I understand Yoruba language more.
Because I've attended these events, and I speak Yoruba.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think I speak Yoruba very well. But when these Alagas speak, sometimes I have to think to be able to follow their drift. Because, their language becomes very picturesque.
Yes.
So it's not just normal
day-to-day English, Yoruba,
day-to-day Yoruba that they're speaking.
So how
did you learn all that?
So like you rightly said, it's not as if Yoruba man deep gone no. So now this is it. To be an what's it called? I like at the nature of whatever it is you do now, you must be in trend. You can see what they do with all those songs now. You know, like for instance, Lawaja song, and then they will now sing it to the bride's family that Kila wa she Shade la wa fe nibi, you know, like do you understand? That was not you know, and
so
then
they literally become composers.
Yeah, they literally become composers. So because they want the groom to dance, and maybe the bride to so yeah, Coco, below, Coco, and then you know, you see them come on, and then you just it's just drama. You just make it very dramatic. They'll just give a very dramatic event such that oh no, you'll never forget.
We don't have enough time, but we're gonna milk this out as much as we can. There's also something that, you know, an English lecturer, I was in a class last weekend, and this white lecturer was teaching and picked up 2 articles about Nigerian weddings.
Oh dear.
Guess what? It was a Yoruba wedding.
Of course.
No, of course.
She couldn't care less.
Any other one is
it was Nigerian.
Yes.
I said that to ask how much that has gone into other cultures in Nigeria, because there is Igbo now marrying Yoruba, Hausa marrying Yoruba,
Western,
and all those
white
things. How do all those go? I mean, when that kind of wedding involves a Yoruba person, all these alagas and all are invited. How does that work? How do the cultures intermingle?
Okay, now to start with, like I said, Yoruba do nasha, like Yoruba do lede. So I'm sure you understand that. I'm still too. So you know, when you see something good, you admit that it is good, and most of the time, consciously or unconsciously, you know what you want to do next is to be a part of it. And other cultures just want to be a part of it. And the wedding part, you cannot afford not to be a part of it. So whether you want to come and marry Yoruba or you want to host your own ceremonies to look like that.
Really?
Yes. So now you have Igbos to doing Ashwebi now.
Really?
Yes, a whole lot. In fact, Ankara Ashwebi and Ashoke now. Yoruba Ashoke, Igbo party, Igbo People's Party. So now it's something beautiful. It's always a beautiful event, beautiful atmosphere.
I think we're going to begin to have American Ashwebi as well now.
Oh, of course, when the Queen died, when she passed,
yes, we saw
the Ankara Ashwebi. So there was.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
We saw that.
Oh, yes.
I didn't.
Oh, you missed it. Oh, 100%. Oh, it did. There was Ashwebi.
There was Ashwebi.
There was Ankara, and it was Ankara specifically, ma'am. It was Ankara specifically.
It was Ankara?
So it's something beautiful. It's always a very, very beautiful, dramatic, loving.
Okay, I'll ask you this last one because we have to go. I'm asking this because it is something that a number of people know you for. She goes on Instagram, I think.
Social media. I'm on like 6-7 social media platforms.
Only obey music. When did that start? That must be your dad's favorite artist.
I honestly can't say it is because my late father, he listens to Ebenezer Obey, King Sunny Ade, Fonyomo, Ike Dairo, Barista, Bengadiboye, quite a whole lot. Kayode Fashola, you know.
Tunde
Nightingale. You are like Sunday Nightingale. He was one of always tracks. So I want to believe, I didn't understand then that he was a fan. But it wasn't just Ebenezer Obey songs. I know several other ones. Okay. So I guess it was just the one that game. I know that people shared more that went viral out there on social media.
We have to let you go because stay here for. Of course, you can catch Fisayo on Instagram, right?
Yes, at Fisayo.
At Fisayo, yeah. Whatever that is. Well, thank you so much for your
time.
Thank
you, sir. Thank you, ma'am, for having me.
Thank you for coming.
And letting people know that there is more to. Alaga Idru and Alaga Ijoku. There is more entertainment in it than the facts of the case. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I told you.
That's us for today, the 1st of April, All Fools' Day. We'll be with you again next weekend, he being our strength. I wish you all the best until then. My name is Alero Edu.
Amayo Makinde, may your April be full of life and all that's good. Bye for now.